Welcome to this strategic briefing. Today, we're going to analyze a historical masterclass in vision, risk management, and high-stakes diplomacy that has, believe it or not, direct parallels to today's corporate battlegrounds. So here's the big question, right? How does an up-and-coming player not only survive, but actually chart a path to dominance when a massive, aggressive competitor is trying to swallow the entire market? We're going to explore this through a fascinating case study from the late Han Dynasty. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll jump into the situation room and assess the market conditions. Then, we'll break down the long-term vision that was developed. We'll analyze a make-or-break crisis, dissect the negotiation that saved the company, and finally, distill it all down into a playbook you can use. Okay, first things first. Let's analyze the market landscape around the year 280. We're looking at an environment that's defined by extreme disruption, but also immense opportunity. You've got the old establishment, the Han Empire, and it's basically a legacy industry in its final stages of collapse. Its institutional power is just gone. And that creates this huge power vacuum, making the entire landscape ripe for either a hostile takeover or a brilliant new venture. So, in all this chaos, we're focusing on an emerging player, our startup, if you will. It's the promising but pretty vulnerable Eastern Wu, led by a young and ambitious CEO, Sun Quan. And their existential threat? Well, it's the dominant market force, Cao Cao, who is essentially running a massive M&A strategy to absorb every single competitor in his path. In this kind of high-pressure environment, Eastern Wu made a truly pivotal hire that would define its entire future, the strategist Lu Su. So let's take a look at the corporate vision he developed right out of the gate. You know, the first thing Lu Su does is deliver a dose of brutal honesty. He tells his CEO to forget about any nostalgic strategies, like trying to revive the old empire, and to just dismiss any fantasy of a quick knockout blow to their main competitor. He knew that the foundation of any good strategy is accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it were. And this is where he lays out his masterpiece, the taming policy. It was this brilliant, multi-stage roadmap for scaling the company. Step 1, solidify your home market, your base in Zhangdong. Step 2, expand into valuable new territories to grab more resources and market share. And only then, from a real position of strength, do you go for step 3, challenge the market leader for total dominance. And look, this is the crucial point. This wasn't some short-term, hit-the-quarterly numbers kind of plan. Lu Su provided the foundational, long-term vision that Sun Quan's entire organization desperately needed just to survive, and eventually to thrive. All right, let's fast forward to 280. The market titan Cao Cao wasn't about to wait around. He launched an aggressive southern campaign, basically a hostile takeover bid aimed at wiping Eastern Wu right off the map. I mean, just look at the numbers here. The power imbalance is absolutely staggering. Cao Cao controls about 80% of the market. His takeover looked inevitable. For a lot of people on Eastern Wu's board, capitulation, getting acquired on terrible terms, it seemed like the only logical option. But this is where Lu Su shines. He sees an opportunity where everybody else sees defeat. He argues forcefully against surrender. And instead, he pushes for something radical, a high-risk, high-reward strategic partnership with another, even smaller competitor, Liu Bei. His logic? Together, they just might have enough leverage to fight off the takeover. And you know what? This wild, high-stakes gamble, it paid off. Big time. It resulted in a massive market disruption, a decisive victory at the Battle of Red Cliffs that completely shattered Cao Cao's momentum and changed the competitive landscape for decades. But hey, as anyone who's ever managed a joint venture knows, winning the deal is one thing. Making the partnership work is something else entirely. The alliance quickly became strained over a key asset, Jing province. And this led to a critical test of Lu Su's diplomatic chops. So on one side, you have Liu Bei's top general, Guan Yu, and he's taking this aggressive, non-negotiable posture. But on the other side, you have Lu Su, and he gets it. He understands the long game. He knew that the strategic partnership itself was way more valuable than winning a short-term squabble over territory. That alliance was the only thing keeping the market titan in check. So what does Lu Su do to fix this? He initiates what's become a legendary, the single-handed meeting. And this wasn't some conference call, okay? This was a masterclass in de-escalation and courageous face-to-face diplomacy. He walked into a tense, militarized situation to personally hash things out. And it worked. He actually did it. Tensions were diffused, a settlement was negotiated, and the alliance was saved. He showed that strategic diplomacy can be just as powerful as military or economic might, averting a disaster that would have only helped their #1 competitor. So what can we pull from all this? What are the key takeaways from Lu Su's career? Let's break down the core competencies that made him so effective and create a playbook for any leader today. So what really defined his success? It all boils down to 4 key pillars. He had the far-sightedness to write a long-term roadmap when everyone else was thinking short-term. He had brilliant strategic planning skills, pushing for that high-risk, high-reward alliance. His diplomatic talent was absolutely crucial in managing that partnership when it started to fray. And finally, his temperament. Calm, generous, especially under immense pressure, that's what held the whole thing together. It's just a timeless lesson in leadership. And this is a really important distinction to make, the difference between the pop culture caricature and the actual reality. The famous novel, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, paints him as this simple, kind of naive but honest guy. The historical record, it shows he was a decisive and brilliant strategic genius. And yeah, the historical record absolutely backs this up. One historian at the time praised him for having the strategy of a king's most trusted advisor, basically saying he had an insider's vision for the future of the whole enterprise. He was the real deal. So we'll end with a question for you and your team. In today's volatile market, as you face your own titans, who is it that's providing that essential long-term vision? Who has the courage to push for the bold partnership and the skill to negotiate when everything is on the line? Find your Lu Su.